For 25 years, we have been Indiana's business news leader. This is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gerry Dick. Presented by Elevate Ventures and Indiana University.
Rolls-Royce F-130 engines were selected by the Air Force to replace the existing engines throughout the fleet.
Rolls-Royce North America in Indianapolis. The impact of Indiana's multi-million-dollar defense industry, the perspective from Northeast Indiana. Plus, the state's role in tackling stroke treatment. See how Indiana healthcare workers are working to help stroke victims move forward. And 'tis the season for flowers. Yelp's Brittany Smith crisscrosses the state to check out the best you pick farms.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry Dick, coming to you this week from Fort Wayne. We're on the campus of Purdue University, Fort Wayne, and the second annual Northeast Indiana Defense Summit. 3rd District Congressman Jim Banks organizing this event to support and explore ways to grow the defense and aerospace sector. That means literally billions of dollars annually to the state's economy. From precision weapons, munitions, and electronic systems at the Crane Naval Surface Warfare Center in Martin County, to the specialized ground vehicle systems produced at AM General in St. Joseph County. Indiana, a magnet for tens of billions of dollars in military contracts. Indiana has the highest concentration of manufacturing jobs in the nation among states competing for defense contracts. Raytheon, Rolls-Royce, and Allison Transmission, just a few of the high-profile defense suppliers with major operations in Indiana. Universities, including Purdue, Notre Dame, and Trine, fuel a critical engineering pipeline that fuels the industry. The impact is especially significant here in Northeast Indiana. It is estimated that every second, somewhere in the world, an aircraft lands or takes off with control systems made or maintained in Northeast Indiana. The region is home to hundreds of Department of Defense suppliers and service providers that employ more than 11,000 residents.
Well, we're talking about thousands of jobs just in the Fort Wayne area. And you got Raytheon, General Dynamics, L3Harris making weather satellites. Ultra Electronics in my hometown of Columbia City makes sonobuoys. Almost all of the sonobuoys in the United States Navy are made in Indiana and at a sister operation in Florida. All of the important work that's being done here is important. It's innovation. But the vision of our summit today is introducing some of the leading innovators from Silicon Valley, from around the country, to Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're rebuilding as defense budgets are higher than they've ever been in U.S. history for good reason. As we prepare for a conflict with our great adversaries like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, the defense industry has to change too, with innovation to compete with our biggest adversary, that being China. We had Congressman Mike Gallagher, my colleague from Wisconsin, who chairs the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, speak about the China threat. And we just heard from the Secretary of the Air Force, Frank Kendall, who talked about the same issues, just China, China, China. So what innovation has to happen in our military to compete with the sophisticated technologies of China? The big idea of today is we make things in northern Indiana. Bring your innovation here and we'll make it better than anyone in the country in a more cost-efficient ways.
We have a duty, is the way we look at this, to make sure we have a vibrant defense sector. Purdue's leaning in hydrosonics, and we've got this great institution called Crane down in the southern part of our state that is just so darn important to national defense on a global basis. And then you've got below the big guys, you've got a ton of innovation happening around drones and other technologies, and so. We're patriotic about our focus on defense. We want to continue to grow it, because it's good for the state of Indiana.
Indiana's defense scene has caught the eye of billionaire Palmer Luckey, the man who founded virtual reality headset company Oculus as a 19-year-old. While at the summit, Luckey, who founded artificial intelligence defense contractor Anduril Industries, announced the acquisition of Purdue Research Park startup Andranos, which makes solid rocket motors.
We're going to be working together to build rocket motors for terrestrial applications, aerial applications, and space applications. Now into the future at scale, very cheaply, at a very high level of performance, not just for our products, but building motors that are going to go into products made by other defense companies, by other aerospace and space tech companies. We're trying to become a supplier to everybody in that case. As far as Indiana goes, Adranos is an easy one because it came out of Purdue. It started here, and so of course we're going to keep doing things here. But we've actually been working with a lot of other companies that are in the Indiana defense base. There's a reason that companies are here, both the talent, the labor pool. It's a really friendly climate, business-wise, regulatory-wise. And I know everyone says that about where they're from, but remember, I'm from California. And so I have to deal with some of the worst of it. And so it's so refreshing to be in a place where the local climate is so supportive of businesses like mine.
So the focus at this defense summit clearly on this manufacturing hub becoming an even greater hub for defense work. Well, coming up next, we'll get you caught up on the business headlines making news around the state of Indiana. There's lots of it, including more big barrels rolling out at Hard Truth Distilling in Nashville.
Hi, Gary. I'm old enough to remember those old local business news shows that were just dry as dust, and you were a breath of fresh air when you came along with your program. I remember it like it was yesterday, and unlike those old shows, however, you've evolved with the times and kept up and kept it fresh and kept it modern. So I just want to say congratulations on 25 great years.
Here's what's making news around Indiana, brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors, Indiana's 21,000 realtors, the neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
Well, there is a lot of news making headlines around the state of Indiana this week, including Hard Truth Distillery rolling out some more barrels in south central Indiana. And for that and more headlines, let's send it back to the studio in Indianapolis and Mary Rachel Redmond.
Thanks, Gary. Well, you're right. A lot of fun recreational economic development projects finishing up just in time for summer. We begin in Nashville, Indiana.
Plying our trade in the scenic hills of Brown County.
Rolling out the barrels at a faster pace at Hard Truth Distilling. The Brown County-based company opening its new rack house, which will triple the distillery's storage capacity for its sweet mash whiskeys. 20 miles to the west, Cardinal Spirits in Bloomington taking a unique approach to expand and grow. Cardinal opening its first ever community equity round, which allows people to invest in the company in exchange for equity. A big deal for the city of Fort Wayne. The $89 million riverfront at Promenade Park 6-story mixed-use project has officially opened. It includes housing, retail, and a massive parking garage. Fort Wayne also marked the opening of a new $2.5 million park space in the Riverfront Development District. Paragon Medical opening a new $16 million plant in Kosciuszko County. The company specializes in 3D printing medical devices. Purdue-based startup flexing its military muscle. Solid rocket manufacturer Adranos has been acquired by California-based Anduril Industries. Warrant Technologies in Bloomington with a plan to boost the IT talent pipeline. Warrant partnering with Ivy Tech Bloomington to provide internships and mentor programs for students. The boat business propelling forward in Greenfield. Yamaha Marine Precision tripling the size of its propeller manufacturing plant there. Professional golf driving big bucks into southern Indiana. Sultan's Run in Du Bois County hosting the Senior LPGA Championship, which is expected to pump more than $1 million into the economy. You're going to have to dig a little deeper to throw burgers and hot dogs on the grill to celebrate July 4th this year. Prices for food to host a cookout expected to jump nearly 10% over last year. And the Indiana Incredible Edible Egg getting national attention. Good Housekeeping naming Wolcott-based Egg Life's Egg White Wraps one of its best snack awards.
I think this is just a really terrific Indianapolis success story.
A Carmel neurosurgeon says a new medical device invented right here in central Indiana is giving hope to stroke patients. How 2 local companies and dozens of Hoosier patients helped bring the device to life. And what's next for Indianapolis pizza staple Noble Romans. The IBJ reporting on a big vote coming among shareholders, which could determine the chain's future. Two Carmel companies are helping make history in stroke treatment. A nationwide clinical trial is the first in the world to show positive results for treating the deadliest form of stroke. And the surgical device was created and tested right here in central Indiana. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta is here with more. Kylie.
Thank you, Mary Rachel. Treating hemorrhagic stroke has been a thorn in the side of neurosurgery for decades. About half of patients die within 30 days, and surgeons have felt like there's really very little they can do. That's because the vessel that bursts is deep within the brain rather than on the surface, making the clot extremely difficult to get to and remove without causing brain damage. Carmel-based startup Nico Corporation created the BrainPath device and worked with Goodman Campbell Brain and Spine, also based in Carmel, to develop the minimally invasive tool. It's designed to slide between the folds of the brain to preserve critical tissue rather than cutting through the brain. Nico's Myriad device then uses suction to remove the clot. The company recently announced that in a nationwide trial with 300 patients, the method showed results that are better than the current standard of care and improved outcomes for hemorrhagic stroke patients. Led by Dr. Charles Colwyn, Goodman Campbell was one of the largest contributors to the study, using the device to treat dozens of Hoosiers.
And for the first time, we have a study that showed we have a way to go in with minimal damage, less invasively, remove that blood effectively and get out, and not only accomplish a successful surgery, but result in patients who are less disabled in the long run and are less likely to die from the stroke in the long run. And that's totally new. That's never been shown in any of the large surgical trials that have been done in the past.
Before this study, the standard treatment for hemorrhagic stroke was to not go in and remove the blood, often waiting weeks for the blood to reabsorb. Surgeons believe this trial shows hope for patients beyond just waiting out the bleed.
That's unbelievable. And that was done right here in central Indiana.
That's right. This was a nationwide clinical trial, has global implications, but the device was created right here in Indianapolis. Goodman Campbell has been involved in helping to develop this device since more than a decade ago. So you have local innovators, local neurosurgeons really making a huge impact, and really all this work building up into one of the landmark neurosurgical trials in years, and this was all homegrown.
So obviously this is a huge breakthrough. Do they think this will lead to other breakthroughs in other places, I guess in the brain?
Yeah, so it's an area of the brain that has never been reached before. Before they could get to the center of the brain, they could remove the clot, but they always damaged tissue doing it. This is the first trial to show they can get to the center of the brain without damaging tissue. What else could they do? They could deliver drugs. They could more effectively cut out tumors. So this really opens the floodgates.
That's incredible. I'm blown away. Kylie, great stuff.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, hitting this 4th of July, summer is upon us in Indiana. We've got the best hot spots for you to pick fresh wildflowers after the break. And get ready, Northern Indiana, we're headed your way. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the Engage South Bend Elkhart event presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. Tuesday, August 1st at the Century Center. We'll be diving into talent, education, and other issues shaping the regional economy. More at ibj.com/engage. With interest in you-pick flower farms on the rise and blooming season underway, we tapped into Yelp data to find some of the best flower farms to visit throughout the state. Yelp's Brittany Smith joins us now with more on a lavender field in Franklin to sunflowers and poppies in Crawfordsville. Welcome, Brittany.
Great to be with you.
So what is a you-pick farm and where all did you go?
Yeah, there are so many springing up throughout the state of Indiana. Even as we were building this segment, new businesses were popping up left and right. So it's a spot that you can visit, often out in the countryside, where local farmers and businesses are growing their own stems, and you can go out and pick them yourself and build your own bouquets.
So starting with Dolly's Farm in Franklin.
Yeah, this is a 5-acre lavender farm in Pick Farm. It's actually named after the owner's grandmother who bought the land back in 1932. They have over 80 different flower varieties and they charge by the stem. So you get a bucket, you get your clippers, and you go around the farm to fill up your bucket for an arrangement. And folks really love that you can go there for a lot of events throughout the season. So for example, they're offering goat yoga to learning how to make your own flower crown. And you can visit their website anytime to find all of these great events on the calendar.
Now, I have been to Dolly's farm, and I remember they taught me how to arrange flowers, which I thought was a huge bonus to that experience as well.
Yeah, it's a really fun one, whether you're new to it or you just want to go and do it on your own.
Okay, kind of heading up north now to Fort Wayne, J&L Pick and Patch.
Yeah, this is a 75-acre farm close to the heart of the city, actually not too far from Jefferson Point, if you're familiar with the area. And it's been in the McNeely family for generations. And you'll see that often with a lot of these farms. Their picking season kicks off around July 15th. Obviously, these dates always vary with the weather and when the flowers are actually blooming. They have 90 beds of flowers there that folks can browse and pick from. And, another thing that these flower farms are really popular for is photo shoots. So they actually allow you to pre-schedule photo sessions after business hours. So you can go in, maybe you're doing engagement photos or graduation. That's another thing a lot of these businesses are also popular for.
That is amazing. And another place you can do that, Anderson Flower Farm.
Yeah, the pick season has officially kicked off at Anderson Flower Farm right in the Frankfort area. One of the fun things about this business is that they're also known for their kid-friendly offerings. So they offer these Sprouts workshops that include an in-depth tour of the farm, instructions on how to cut your flowers, and teaching kiddos how to build their own floral arrangements, and really making it an educational experience so they can take home their own bouquets.
And lastly, we've got Shannon Family Farms. These pictures and video are just amazing. This is so fun to look at.
It makes you kind of want to pick up on the weekend and head out for an adventure.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. This one's in the New Market, Indiana, just south of Crawfordsville. Their season kicks off this next week on July 9th, and they recommend bringing your own bucket. They provide you with the shears and the water source. They're known for having everything from sunflowers to poppies, and it's always changing each week with what's coming in season. And they also have a lot of great events on the site for all ages. So they've got stories and stems that are geared towards young children, and then they've got a pick and paint, obviously, for those 21 and over. So they also just have a lot of reasons to visit throughout the season.
And Brittany, kind of last question. What's the price point on some of these places?
Yeah, so a lot of them you'll see ranging from, a few dollars per stem to some that range or do their pricing per bucket. It's really quite comparable to what you'll see in a store. But the thing is, you're getting truly fresh cut stems the minute you get it versus sometimes when you're going to a store, maybe they've been cut a few days ago. So it's great for the shelf life. And it's an experience.
Yes, it is. Always awesome stuff, Brittany. Thank you so much for putting us in a great mood with these beautiful Indiana flowers. Well, let's head back now to Fort Wayne, where Gerry has a special show-ender for us.
All right, Mary Rachel, thank you. Well, as we wrap up our look at the economic impact of the defense and aerospace sector on Indiana, the entire state, every corner of the state, and especially here in Northeast Indiana, we are just outside the 122nd Fighter Wing of the Indiana Air National Guard, 1,000 strong. The men and women here, part of a much larger effort that keeps us safe and secure and able to celebrate this 4th of July as our country celebrates its 247th birthday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gerry Dick. Go out and make it a great 4th.
For spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties. I'm talking about America, sweet America. God done shed his grace on thee. He sea to shining sea.